Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. You know, in life, you generally want to get an A in class, but today we are focusing on getting a B. We are going to be focusing on which B is better. We're looking at two Bumblebees. It is the Netflix War for Cybertron series Bumblebee and the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So, like I said in the opening, yes, we are looking at two Bumblebee figures today. The first one is the Netflix War for Cybertron series, I think released during Siege, Bumblebee. This was a Walmart exclusive. For a while, that was the only way you could get this mold, but here it is in its vehicle mode, and it looks pretty good. You know, it does have the nice kind of translucent blue windows. It looks like a somewhat of a real life Volkswagen Beetle. Has some nice detail on the door, like you can see the handles. Tires look decent. Not everything is quite squeezed into place, but overall it looks pretty good. It does look like an actual car. I think my biggest complaint on this one is just that it looks a little more mustard yellow than Bumblebee yellow, if that makes sense. Our Studio Series 86 Bumblebee does look a little more square in nature, and it was kind of racking my brain as I was going through this, getting ready for this review, because I was trying to think what the original Bumblebee cartoon design, animation design looked like in car mode, and it seems to be inconsistent. Sometimes it is a little more square in nature, other times it's not. But I do like this one because I do like the yellow, how, Bumblebee yellow it is. I do like the way the wheels look. I think they look pretty good, and I think the door handle looks pretty good there as well. But going around, it looks pretty clean. You do see a couple Autobot symbols. There's going to be some transformation magic with some of those in a moment. But overall, they look pretty neat. Of course, when I'm talking about Transformers, I like to look at them in their robot modes. So let's get them transformed. So here are both my Bumblebees in their robot modes. And first I want to look at the Netflix version that was a Walmart exclusive. So looking at him, he does look really cool. He doesn't have a Bumblebee or an Autobot logo on his chest, which would be animation accurate. He does still have it on his foot, which is animation accurate to his car mode, but not his robot mode. He is also, at the moment, kind of missing a backpack because this was a bit of a parts former. This piece comes off. There's a peg here that you can then stick in his back to complete a look for him. That way he doesn't look as hollow or gappy. But it also doesn't quite sit. You gotta you gotta move it around just to kind of sit in a middle. Otherwise it will kind of tilt to one side, and that bothers me visually. It's just me though. But otherwise this looks like a Bumblebee. Like I said, still, same complaint from car mode. It's more of a mustard yellow than it is like the Bumblebee yellow. And I think my only other complaint is down here at the feet. The yellow doesn't continue all the way around. It stops here. So like 3/4 of his leg or of his foot are covered in yellow, but not fully. And just to say it too, the way the foot piece holds together, there is this peg here that would tab into one of the hubcaps, and if you don't tab it, or if you don't have it aligned correctly, it doesn't tab incorrectly. So right now, everything's pretty good, and it's looking pretty fine. But yeah, not bad for a Bumblebee. It's been on my shelf for quite a while. The newer Bumblebee that I have, of course, is the Studio Series 86 one. This one, I think the yellow, like I said, matches his animation model a little bit better. I think it is more accurate. The one thing I don't like on this is during transformation, there's a piece of plastic that the head is on, this little plastic piece right here, that folds away and then folds back. And I'm very worried about the structural integrity of that plastic. I'm afraid that if you do it too many times, this head could pop off, which would kind of suck. I guess you could just kind of glue the stick in place, but then he's not going to be able to transform. And who wants a transformer who can't transform? I kid, I have plenty. But anyway, one thing to say is that his stomach is more squared off, which would be more animation accurate compared to our Netflix one back here. So I do like that. The Autobot symbol is on his chest, which is nice. And the one from his foot that would be there during the vehicle mode. Let me just untab his foot real quick so you can see. This one that would be on his hood come on. There we go. Does fold away. So there is like some of that Transformers transforming magic there, so that when you transform it, you don't see that piece. And I think that's pretty neat. And then because of the way this foot tabs connection works, his entire foot ends up being covered in yellow. You don't see any black poking through, which I think is a nice touch. So just thinking about animation accuracy, things like that. I mean, both of these Bumblebees are pretty close in height. I think this one's head is a little bigger, which makes for a bit of a character difference as well. So thinking about that, thinking about what makes, a more accurate Bumblebee, what I would rather have on my shelf, I aim for things that are more accurate to the cartoon. I'm going to be going with our Studio Series 86 version for round 1. I think he's just a little more cartoon accurate, and like I said, that's what I want on my shelf. My second round is about articulation. We'll look at the Bumblebee from the Netflix series first. So his head is on a swivel, and it can do a little up and down. So I guess it is a ball joint. There's not a lot of up and down, but there's a little bit. He does have waist rotation, so he can spin there. Arms are going to go all the way around. Shoulders move up that much. Elbows, because of the way he's constructed, can go 90 degrees back and 90 degrees forward. There is also rotation at the shoulder, at the bicep as well. So you have some rotation there. And the hands will rotate, which is a nice touch. Going down to the legs, legs are going to kick forward that much, kick back all the way, and go out all the way. He can do a full Van Damme. Going back down to the leg. The thigh rotation is up here at the joint, so it can't go fully around because eventually it hits that bar connecting to his crotch section there. So, you can't go all the way around, but you do have some decent thigh movement. You do have knee bend, so it's going to go back 90 degrees. And then at the foot, you have some extreme ankle pivots. Like, look at that. That thing is tilting in an inhuman way. No back or forth on the ankle, though. It's all really dependent on the knee. Going to our Studio Series 1, the head will spin around. A little bit of up and down, not a lot either. Like I said, if you want to rely on that transformation joint, you can have him look down, but then his head is popping off his body, which looks strange. At the waist, he does have full rotation there. At the arms, they are going to spin fully around. Shoulders go up. And then he does have forward 90 degrees, but no back like the other one. Again, I don't know if you necessarily need posing backwards when it comes to what you can pose, but it's not there. Bicep rotation, hands spin. So, very similar so far. We get down to the legs. Legs are going to go forward all the way and back all the way. Knee bend is going to go back all the way. And that's it. I thought it would go forward, but it doesn't. We do have thigh rotation. This time, it is below the cut here, below this joint. So the leg can fully spin around if you need him to spin his leg fully around. Then we have this ankle pivot, which doesn't go quite as deep, but it is there. But because of the transformation, you do have ankles that will move forward and back. Really just back and then, up to that point. So I don't think the articulation in either of these is perfect per se, but I do like that his ankles kind of move a little better in this one. Like I said, I don't need a Bumblebee whose arms are going to be going backwards. That's going to look a little weird on a shelf. So I just by a slight margin, I'm giving articulation to the Studio Series 86 one. I just like the way his feet look a little better. I think that's going to go a long way for your posing. Round 3 is about the accessories, and when it comes to the accessories for this figure, this one actually came with this multi-piece bazooka, and this is basically a weapon that can detach into multiple weapons. You end up kind of having this stock piece, which you can open up if you want to. You have 2 blasters that could become then handheld blasters. There is a tripod piece. I misplaced the other one of this, but there are 2 legs like this. They could also be ammo clips if you want them to. And I think altogether it looks pretty good. If I wanted to combine all this, I can combine everything up. And it makes for a pretty cool looking bazooka. Of course, this is supposed to mirror the Cliffjumper bazooka that the War for Cybertron Cliffjumper figure came with, because it would be G1 accurate to the cartoon. This is done more just because, he was a repaint and remold of Cliffjumper. They just slapped him with the same weapon. But again, the other option is that you can make him have two blasters if you want to do that. And I really, really like that option. I think it goes a long way when it comes to being able to pose your figures out or give them some dynamic weaponry. So yeah, this looks quite cool. The other thing to be said is this Bumblebee eventually, kind of, sort of, got his G1 accurate blaster. I'll take all this out. In this blaster. Now, this came with that weapons pack. It came with a gray full tilt repaint, the Century drone or something, and it came with a weapons pack. So it gave him his G1 accurate blaster, which I think is a nice touch that you have all this. And, again, if I wanted to take the bazooka pieces and combine them back, I could. Just like this. And then I give Bumblebee a bazooka if I want. So let me put that down there a little bit. So there we go. So this Bumblebee has quite a bit of firepower, and I dig that. I dig those options. While I am saying that I like G1 accuracy, I never think it's bad to have a Transformer with a bunch of extra firepower. So this Bumblebee has some pretty nice armaments. And like I was kind of mentioning before, this piece can also act as a shield. So you can take this off his back and you can have him hold it. And Bumblebee would then have a shield, which I think is pretty cool. It gives you a lot of different display options. Going to our Studio Series 86, he just has this blaster, and this would be the animation accurate blaster. It just goes in his hand, which is nice. He just holds it, huzzah, he has a little blaster. It looks good. It's it's a cute little blaster, if you will. But in terms of like which one has better accessories, I got to give it to the Netflix one. I think he really has the better playability for those options, or for those weapons. I think you can do more with his accessories, which I think is kind of cool. So yeah, he's taken round 3. And my fourth round is about the price and overall availability of these figures. The Netflix Bumblebee was a Walmart exclusive. I think people were able to find him eventually. I don't think he ended up being that hard to find. But right now, online, like he came out in, was it 2020 or 2021? Right now, to buy him online, you're looking at spending roughly, well, about $25. It seems to sell for anywhere between like 17 to 40, maybe even 45. Average of that, I guess, would be like, 25, 30, somewhere around there. Not a bad price, but remember, you're probably going to have to get it in a secondary market way, whether you get it off eBay, off a third-party seller, find it at a toy show, whatever. So you might be spending more than a typical deluxe scale Transformer to get this Bumblebee. The Studio Series 86 one is on store shelves right now for the price of $25. He's available all over the place online, things like that. And I have been seeing some reports that I guess people are finding him in Targets and Walmarts for marked down, probably because he was a summertime figure, and we are coming up on the holiday season as of the recording of this video. So if that's your jam, if you like saving some money, you might be able to find him for less than $25, which might take the win for you there. But just because at the moment he's probably the easier one to get, $25 deluxe figure price range, yeah, I'm going to give this one to our Studio Series Bumblebee. I think that is probably the easier and better buy at the moment. And my final round is about the display compatibility of these figures. I have been shifting more towards animation accurate characters on my shelves, and what better animation accuracy to look at than our Studio Series later class Optimus Prime. Let's move the camera up so you can see him. Both these Bumblebees look halfway decent standing next to him. I'm not going to lie. This actually looks like a pretty imposing team, especially when one of them has a giant bazooka. But if I only want one, if I can only have one, I want one that is going to look more like the animation standing next to this Optimus. So, looking at the Netflix one, yeah, he looks good. It doesn't look bad. But bringing in the Studio Series 86, this is a Studio Series much like this Optimus Prime. This is going to be the better looking figure in my opinion. So this Bumblebee, Studio Series 86 Bumblebee, wins out round 5, my display compatibility round. So standing victoriously over his competition is the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. When the Netflix one came out, I didn't think I'd ever be needing to buy another Bumblebee, but then this one came along and just, I guess, proved me wrong. Minor complaints here and there, but overall, I do think this is a strong figure. So if you're looking for that perfect animation representation of Bumblebee right now, this is going to be it. I'm sure in 3 or 4 years we'll get another Bumblebee, and I'll do another which is better, and maybe that one will be the new champion. We'll see what happens. But for now, Studio Series 86 Bumblebee, I'm going to recommend is the way to go. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you have either of these Bumblebees? Do you plan on getting the Studio Series one? If you haven't, are you sticking with Netflix? I would love to hear your opinion. And until next time, I've been Dan. You've been pretty awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to leave a like or a comment, down below underneath this video, it goes a long way to help out the channel. You know what also helps? Subscribing. That goes a long, long way. So I would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the Rock Nerd Radio Show podcast on your preferred podcast platform. It is a weekly podcast hosted by myself and my good friend Vinny. Together we discuss all different types of pop culture, whether it be comics, music, TV shows, movies, or collectibles. So check that out, once again, wherever you're going to get your podcasts. And you can also follow the Rock Nerd Radio Show on Instagram. That is the best place to interact with me. I would love it if you gave it a follow. So thanks for checking out this video. Until next time, I've been Dan. You've been pretty awesome, and I'll see you around.
Come get